welcome to the Cricket Aid podcast. I'm Jarrod Kimber. With me today is the killer, Kritika Naidu, and the rooster, Rob Barron. And we're going to be going through what has happened in this World Cup so far, because there's been some things. Some things have happened. Let's just start with this. I assume Rob Barron is going to be really angry about this, and I know I am. So maybe we can, have some sort of anger off. But how crap is the New York wicket, the Nassau County hellscape?
I mean, I really like the fact that it's crap. I got a bit bored during the IPL where it was 2:30 being chased every day, and I saw that PSL where everything got chased every time because of the dew. And Rawalpindi, it's just an absolute road every single time. And that's boring after a while. When you watch as much cricket as people like us do, you get bored of that. And I love the fact that this is crap. It's not crap on purpose, though, and they've made loads of mistakes to get it to this level of badness.
So I think there's two different kinds of crap, though. There is Guyana crap, which is another wicket. At least we know what Guyana's going to do. The problem with this one is Nicholas Curtin almost lost his chin the other day. Harry Tector almost had a broken hand and got hit in the head in the same one. We had Rohit Sharma go off the field. Rishabh Pant got hit. It's more entertaining and maybe 80 can actually be defended. And then there's, what if one of the most important cricketers in the world gets a broken finger at the start of this tournament because you are playing on a car park?
Yeah, I think summarise all that into 2 words, man up.
That's what Faf du Plessis used to say.
Play the game like you're wearing massive great big gloves and a helmet. Like, it can't be that bad.
But it doesn't matter. It shouldn't be happening.
No, I agree. That testing batsmen on different types of pitch is great. We've all come to see that. Sometimes you get a pitch, this is really low. Well, sort your skills out then. You know, this is turning loads. Sort your skills out. But if you've got one that grubs along the floor and the next one goes over your head, that's not fair because you can't.
There's no skills at that point.
There's no skills. It's just, but it is funny. Yeah. Like from the outside, it is funny.
When you're not facing 9 miles an hour bowling, this is hilarious.
But the Ireland-India one, if the last 20 minutes of that game was the first 20 minutes, there would have been a genuine conversation that they were going to call the game off. Yeah. Because it was no better than the Big Bash pitch where the game got abandoned last year. So that is the bit that I have a bit of a problem with, because that's not cricket anymore. That's just possible. Like, danger is funny. I don't want to get away from danger being funny. Yeah. But it's not. On other people. It's not proper cricket. So I'm all for tough pitches where it's really hard to score boundaries because you see players adapting, and the best ones. Sehwag was the best at doing that, wasn't he, back in the day? The best ones tend to be really good, and you're like, oh wow, he's managed. Like Miller's knock yesterday,
brilliant,
absolutely tremendous. They were really under it then, South Africa, and you think, what, chasing 100 against Netherlands? Yeah, they were really under it. He had to adapt and take his time and put shots away that he likes playing. That was really good. But if you've got one snorter and then a P-roller, that's very different.
Kritika, ICC were desperate to get a game in New York. They had a chance of doing Los Angeles. And they didn't go with that because the time zone for India didn't work particularly well. So they were desperate to get to New York. It was a huge thing for them. And then they basically waited to the last minute. And from what I could tell, at most they spent 7 months working on this pitch. It is unacceptable to have such an important part of the World Cup played on what essentially is, a bunch of socks rolled up together.
No, absolutely. And just the fact that, what you just said, if a very important player from one of the teams gets injured at that, the starting the first 2 games, then, it disrupts the entire planning. And it's just not safe even for the players, right? I mean, you think about this, you have, you do all the planning, you come up with everything, but that is just quite a short turnover period. And it would have been, kind of nicer for them, I guess, to arrange for maybe friendlies, just get that wicket tested. Before, just bringing it up and saying, hey, here we go.
But the problem was, it took them that long to get it to New York, didn't it? I mean, it really is. It's an incredible story. Adelaide was involved, and Florida was involved. And there's no irrigation or proper drainage on this ground. And you look at the outfield, Rob, and you're like, the outfield might be worse than the pitch.
Yeah, it just brings... So 2 is now 4. Yeah. Basically. Like the amount of 2s we're seeing in this. So you need to be good runners and intelligent runners, which is something that we don't see masses of over the franchise circuit. So that is also being tested. Old school cricket skills are being tested, because the amount of times, like those of us that play at an appalling level, you're like, well, we have to adapt to this hellhole or minefield or, cow yard that we're playing in today. And you have to put these type of shots away. The cross bat shots, you see those coming out because they're so used to playing them, and all of a sudden you're bowled because there's a really good example of that was Phil Salt yesterday. when it's like, here comes Amper, what shall I do? Well, don't put the horizontal bat away. You're in a decent enough position. And his brain went back to, well, I'm just going to mow everything across the line and see how I get on, and out you go.
I remember playing a game recently with a bunch of 14 and 15-year-olds, and one of the bowlers came up to me and said, it's wet, what do I do? And I said, you bowl. And he's like, but, what am I going to... It's not going to get drier. The ground is soaked. It's got to be wet, and you're going to have to work it out. And there is an element of that when we're talking about the safety element when it comes to New York. Let's move on to probably the first major team who isn't going anywhere. Let's go in with Sri Lanka, Kritika. I think they were, Rob might remember, about 30 or 40 to 1 when the tournament started.
Sri Lanka were more like 70 to 1.
Were they that far out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Start, yeah. 60 or 70. Yeah.
So they were 80 to 90 to 1 after. They were a little bit unlucky. They played on that New York wicket.
Yeah.
They probably got some of the worst conditions on it, and obviously South Africa went through them. They then played against Bangladesh, in which was a game of, I hate watched that game. Because it was in the middle of the night for us, right? And the amount of times I went, why am I watching this? I hate everyone on the field. Please stop doing this. Please stop playing cricket like this. And then it was like 4 a.m. and I was like, I've now watched the whole game. I'm so angry that you Muppets have made me watch the entire game. It was disgusting. Very good bowling attack.
Yeah.
This panel basically is their batting lineup. That's how bad their batting is at the moment. Is there any way back? Are Sri Lanka done in this tournament? And should we worry about it either way? Because it doesn't look like they're going to do a lot of damage if they make the next round anyway.
As good as, right? I mean, you would think that they, of course, the first game wasn't really in their control because of the pitch and whatnot and, different conditions.
They still almost snuck that game through, let's be fair.
Yeah.
Sri Lanka were 48 for 1 after 5 overs in that game.
Yeah.
And then they
48 for 1 after 5.
Yeah.
You're doing fine. Now all you need
Are you talking about the Bangladesh game?
Yeah. Now all you need to do is nudge it around and everything will be fine. You'll score 145 or 150 easy and you're fine.
We were talking about the South Africa game. I just told you that other game made me angry. Don't bring it back up again until I'm ready to actually discuss it properly. So you're right, Kritika. That first game wasn't particularly good. So let's have a look. They're in group. It's hard to find it because I have to scroll so far. They're currently under Nepal. Because of their net run rate, which is incredible. So they're 5th in the group.
Yeah.
And their games coming and their matches coming up. So they have played South Africa and Bangladesh. Those are the 2 games that they were most likely to lose in that group anyway. But they've got Netherlands, Nepal left to play. They could beat both of those sides.
Yeah.
However, what is your confidence in them beating Netherlands, who have actually played some good cricket themselves already?
Oh, I was just going to say Netherlands, you can't count them out. They've played pretty decent cricket. They were really good against South Africa. They took it quite close. Even, they were really competitive. Mm-hmm. And with Sri Lanka, given how they've performed in these 2 games, Netherlands could, think that, well, this is our chance.
I wonder if one of the best chances they have, Rob, is the fact that Bangladesh and Netherlands game could go in either direction as well. So it's very possible that Sri Lanka beat the Netherlands and Netherlands beat Bangladesh. I think Netherlands are a better team than Bangladesh at the moment.
Yeah, I think with Bangladesh, you've always got the fact they all hate each other and there's always carnage going on, like running 40. Like when you look, should I back Bangladesh today? There's always something that talks you out of it.
Usually they're batting.
Yeah, and the infighting and the nonsense and the I'm not playing with him and, we're not going to play today and all this sort of stuff with Bangladesh. And sometimes their tournaments are total car crashes. Nepal are fun, but they're not going to do anything in that group. Yeah, Sri Lanka are probably going to have to obliterate one of those 2 teams.
Maybe both.
Maybe both.
Because their net run rate is
shocking, minus 0.78.
Yep.
And which is, considering South Africa's is the exact inverse of that. They're under it, Sri Lanka. I thought with their bowling attack, they would have a real chance in this tournament. And they do, but someone has to do some kind of batting. Because you can't, they're just saying, well, we can probably hold you to 120 and that's good, but then the bats can't knock 120.
I mean, they almost, we talked about how bad they were against Bangladesh. They almost defended 124.
Yeah, but the one thing that
they almost defended 77.
It took them nearly 19 overs to knock that off, didn't it, or something? 17 overs to knock that off South Africa. But what I actually think the mistake that Sri Lanka have made is 5th bowler. Have another bowler there, because none of them can bat anyway. And the reason why they lost against Bangladesh is they're like, all right, Shanaka's going to have to bowl now. Shanaka all Matthews.
Yeah.
Like, that's nothing. They're 4 utterly elite bowlers in these conditions in Thashara, Patharana, Theekshana, and Hasaranga, right?
Yeah.
4 absolute guns on these sort of pitches, and you go, well, we've got 16 brilliant overs here and no one that can bat. I'm like, okay, we'll just have another bowler there then, put another spinner on or something. And then they go, well, here's Matthews, who's 100 years old.
So I think the last tournament, I think there's a couple of things that went on here. I think Angelo Matthews was supposed to take the new ball, and in this tournament, he did against South Africa, but not all these wickets are made for Matthews to take the new ball, right? So they've lost something there. The other thing is that Hasaranga they wanted him to bat at 7. And in this tournament, they've actually tried to use him in the Sun on the Rhine situation. I believe he's made 0 runs from 3 balls, Kritika, in this tournament. He got a decent ball the other way, but as we might say in Australia, his feet were in the toilet. That's making them nervous when it comes to it. But also, if you have no batters to begin with, I suppose loosening that. But it did look against Bangladesh, if they had 5 bowlers, they probably win that game.
Yeah. And I feel like it would have given even them some confidence, and they had come quite close. So I feel like this loss could have been, it would have hit them much harder than their first game, especially because they were defending a low total. So yeah.
All right. Let us move on from Sri Lanka, the way that the World Cup already has. Let's go on to England. Rob, I'll start with you.
Oh, dear.
Are England cooked? So I'll just go through the points table at the moment. England have 1 point from 2 games. They still had a chance of being in Scotland. I mean, it's one of those games that was probably more a 50-50. But, having looked the way they played against Australia, maybe not ideal. Namibia has beaten Oman. So Namibia has more points than them. Scotland have more points than them. And Australia have more points than them. And every team in that group has played 2 games. So it's a little bit more level than some of the other groups. Oman are done. Right? Oman probably aren't going to win a game unless something goes miraculously right for them. Australia shouldn't lose a game from here. So England is playing for 1 spot, and Scotland is their biggest problem. And Scotland have a net run rate of 0.736, and England have a net run rate of minus 1.8.
Yeah, Oman can beat Scotland tonight. That can happen.
I've seen Oman play Scotland before. I'd be pretty confident if I was Scotland. But yes, you're right.
But England, this feels a bit like the ODI World Cup when England were just a shambles from start to finish. They all looked... The difference this time, I thought, is the bats look like, after the IPL, that most of them were in good form. And you think, right, the top 3 there of Butler, Salt, Jacks, let's have it. And there's something going on with this because they fielded like Muppets in that Scotland game. They looked like they weren't interested.
I don't have my buzzers. I need my buzzers
they
for
were,
the... I thought we had an intern now.
Yeah, we must have fully charged buzzers at all times.
Yeah.
How on earth are we supposed to broadcast them? England look a bit like, I don't know enough about Mott to comment too much, but he doesn't appear to have cultivated something that they're all massively up for it. They look like passengers against Scotland, and I agree. I don't think that game was a million miles away from 50-50 when they went off. They should have taken a wicket against Scotland in 10 overs with the ball moving around.
They did get a wicket. It was a free, no ball, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that sums up England's World Cup so far. And then the shambles against Australia. Again, they just did so many things wrong, but they're like, sorry, can we have a left-hander? Because I think that would have helped. And they don't have any sort of plan for that. Like, well, chuck Moeen up there.
Yeah.
But he's only ever due about 8 balls whenever he bats Moeen.
So, he actually batted well in that game.
And he was probably the second or third best player in that game.
He might not have another game where he makes that many runs.
Yeah, England have way, way more questions than answers. And they've also banked on a bowling attack where everybody's injured and old.
Yep.
So if the batting isn't firing and the fielding isn't going very well, England should still qualify, mind you. They're going to have to spank one of Oman and Namibia, maybe both. They're definitely going to have to win both, which they're pretty short price to do so. But they're going to have to hammer one of them. And they're also going to be looking at the sky a bit because 1 point here and there for other teams can really mess things up.
I think the way, I mean, you're right about Oman, who can potentially beat Scotland. I don't think they will, but I think the best thing that could happen to England is Australia absolutely destroy Scotland.
Yeah.
So there is a chance that Australia against Scotland purposely bat slower.
So I'm all for that.
You've seen that in World Cup before. Australia did that to get rid of New Zealand once.
So I'm all for that in major tournaments. Like, I would definitely be telling my teammates, like, look, we've got a chance to get rid of England here if we're crap today.
Yeah.
That would demotivate me a lot, or it would motivate me to be bad a lot. If I could say, right, underperform woefully and we knock out one of our rivals and we're more likely to play Scotland later down the line, they should do that. They won't do that, but they should do that.
Jarrod, I have a question for you about England, right? So yesterday when, they started with Moeen and they started with spin, But they were quite frazzled then by Australia, taking the attack to them. What different do you think England could have done there? Because I feel like even their body language was quite, it wasn't very, it didn't look very promising.
No.
So what different do you think that, could have, or they could have done to inspire just some confidence and, do something completely different that would maybe just take that momentum away from Australia?
I think they got a little bit obsessed with the fact there was 2 left-handers there, so they needed 2 off-spinners.
Yeah.
I have no problem with Moeen Ali bowling 1 over.
Yeah.
The second over has to be a proper bowler, right? Like there was no reason to double down on that because Moeen could have bowled the 3rd over anyway. And also the matchup didn't make as much sense because Travis Head actually smashes the ball when it spins away from him as well.
And it was the short side.
Yeah.
And it had the wind behind it.
Yeah.
So there were so many reasons not to bowl Jackson that second.
So I think they need to go back to make a solid decision, but they don't have to go all in on the algorithms and all in on the hunches, right? Just go. They still have a team to win this World Cup, right? But they have 2 big issues at the moment. And I think the main one is they have been playing spin in T20 cricket really poorly for a long time. And if you can't play spin in this tournament at the moment, I think I was on a group chat with Rob yesterday, and I was bowling to my son in the backyard. I wasn't even watching it ball by ball, and I sent a message going, England will train, and then Zampa will come on. And that's exactly what happened, right? And they were, 77 without loss when Zampa came on, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Zampa's a good bowler. Don't get me wrong, he's a good bowler.
Yeah.
He's not Rashid Khan in his pomp, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that they didn't have the game to go without, I think that's a big issue for them. So yeah, I think they have technical problems, but I think you're right. They didn't really like Head and Warner came out like, we're going to punch you in the face. Yeah. And England were like, we're getting punched in the face. This is bad. We should stop getting punched in the face. We don't like being punched in the face. Sometimes you need to react a little bit quicker. All right. We're almost the end of the podcast, but I've got a couple of quick questions for you. Kritika, your favorite match so far?
Oh, I love Pakistan, USA. I love that game.
Yep.
Just, the fact that they stood up and they performed the way they did. And Pakistan didn't seem like, the Pakistan that we know, who are known for their bowlers. Their bowlers completely lacked, just that, what they usually have. I can't find the right word. I'm just thinking of the right word,
shit.
Right? Well, I'm not saying that.
Is that what you were saying?
Well, they were quite ordinary, right? So it wasn't like the Pakistan, or that contest wasn't what you expected it to be beforehand.
Yeah.
But then I feel like USA stepped up massively, and it was a fun watch. And they completely deserved it even.
Yeah, well, I think it was a great... Yeah. What I liked about it is we've seen associate teams beat test teams before when kind of the game flips on one thing. Yeah. That wasn't what happened here. They kept beating Pakistan, and there was one period where they gave the game back, and they still came back into it. I thought they were absolutely exceptional. I know Rob Barron was a big fan of Harmeet Singh's super over, where he made, was it none off none, and was run out?
We're going to do a separate 45-minute podcast just on his performance. Didn't bat in the game, didn't bat in the super over, but kind of won them the match a bit.
Yeah. He did bat in the super over, he just didn't face a ball.
Yeah, he technically didn't face any balls, but he because he was holding his bat in his left hand, he made Amir bowl a load of wides, and hence they won.
Yeah.
So yeah, well done him. It would have been really fun if they'd have just sent like a mascot in a clown costume holding the bat with his left hand. He would have probably done the same thing, but yeah, just by the very nature of him holding the bat in his left hand, he won the game.
What is your favourite match so far?
I mean, I've really enjoyed it because it's low scoring. I've not really enjoyed the fact that they've been on at 3:00 in the morning, so we're going to have to get that changed for the next one. But I liked the... we've had 2 ties. I mean, everyone loves a tie. I like the Oman-Namibia game. I love the one that you said, Kritika. That's probably the best answer. But Uganda-PNG was really fun as well.
That was ridiculous.
That game had everything. And... I hate the word...
Everything except for runs.
Yeah, I hate the word associate because I think that's just cricket being snobby, saying, look, we've invited some other people to the... Like, how much better are these World Cups with loads of teams in? And they always have been and they always will be, and we're all a bit tired of watching the same 8 teams play each other all the time and the same people playing in the different coloured pyjamas, like playing franchise cricket. And these things are actually really exciting, what we're watching now. I love that PNG-Uganda game, and the look on the faces of Uganda and all their support staff and everything. That's what you want to see, isn't it? Not like Stoinis bowling to whoever, Klassen. Again,
just Stoinis bowling. Yeah. I'm going to go with the Ireland-Canada game because Canada should have won against the USA and completely bottled that. They got their selection better for the next game. They actually picked 5 bowlers, Rob, which is a big step forward. But I also like the fact that they bossed that game for a long period of time. And then at the end, when they got a little bit wobbly, they still managed to handle their business really well. And they're not as good as the USA. And they're probably, I don't know, maybe on that PNG level, maybe not even quite PNG in some ways. But they've played 2 really good games in this World Cup at the moment, which shows the depth of cricket. I really enjoyed that. And it was great for them. USA got their moment and Canada's had their moment. Uganda's had their moment. PNG, we're still waiting for it. PNG is probably better than a lot of those teams as well, but they haven't quite got there.
Nicholas Curtin having a very good World Cup, going under the radar. He looks like
after 6 years of people like you, me, and Jake watching him and going, "Why does this guy never make any runs?"
Yeah, he's having this is him.
I'm really annoyed. I was going to bet on him for top Canadian run scorer before the tournament, and I haven't. And I don't think he can get beaten now.
No, he's the best by a long way so far.
Most surprising moment, Kritika?
Oh. I'll say the same thing about Pakistan.
It's probably the biggest, most surprising thing, isn't it? Yeah. It's hard to go past that as an upset. Is that your most surprising as well?
I think maybe the pitch. I mean, they said
is that surprising?
They said it's a concrete jungle where dreams are made of, which you don't need the "of" in that sentence. It has kind of been a concrete jungle, hasn't it?
When they mean dreams, do they mean nightmares?
Well, it's kind of my dreams, but most people's nightmares. Yeah, I think. Maybe it wasn't that surprising, but the fact that they go, it's okay, we've had a meeting and we're going to move pitches and we're going to do loads of stuff to it. It's like, tough, guys. You made the ground 3 months ago, so you can't have a good pitch on it. Yeah. Long may that continue, by the way.
Who is favourite to win the tournament in your eyes, Robert Barron?
In my eyes, and this could cause some trouble because it's not the eyes of the market, but in my eyes, it's Australia because they've got a lot of bases covered and they've suddenly... And when they won it, I didn't think they played T20 cricket properly.
Yeah, agree.
And they somehow won it.
This is a better team and they're playing it better.
Yeah, they're playing it. Like yesterday, they won a game where they scored loads of runs. No one scored 40. That's really encouraging for Australia. Yeah. When it's like you turn around and he got 30 or 15 and so did he. And he came in and he did his bit. And then he whacked it at the end. And then we turned to this bowler, and you're like, oh yeah, where's the weak bit? And then you got Fraggle waiting. He's not even in the squad. You got him waiting for a call-up who anybody would have opening, like including India probably, if they didn't do silly things. We'll come on to that in a different podcast. And they don't have this massive weight of media pressure and
no one in Australia is watching because
it's on a stupid time. Yeah. So they haven't got 1 billion people scrutinising.
Would you bet on Australia?
I think the fact that they've already basically proven that they're going to hammer their group and then you haven't done anything yet. And Australia are a bigger price than India? Not for me. Like, so I've backed Australia against India in the market, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, Australia is...
You think they're favourite?
Yes.
And you would bet on them?
Yes. Also, I like he said, I think pressure is an immense thing. And when, India participates in World Cups, there is this massive pressure from the public. That expectation sometimes I feel like can get... to players. But I also feel like Australia are a great team. They have all bases covered. And like he said, there's that lack of, that external pressure, which sometimes can really help you. Definitely. I think they're favourites.
I cannot tell you guys how much no one in Australia is following this tournament. Although, to be fair, usually cricket in the West Indies is played at a terrible time because some of these games are slightly better. But it's in the middle of rugby league and Aussie rules season. No one's going to watch until the finals. The person with the nose ring is Kritika Naidu. The person with the glasses is Rob Barron. The person who is hatless is Jarrod Kimber. We will come back again for more Cricket 8 podcasts. Subscribe, share the love, find us on Facebook, or just find Rob in your local corner shop. We'll see you again soon.